My liege, be on your guard.
Wayward souls, hearken, for I will guide you. A new world is waiting.
What's up, SMITE fans, and welcome into Championship Sunday here from Arlington, Texas, and welcome to our annual Build a God panel. We're happy to have you here, some of our most dedicated SMITE fans who are going to come out early on Championship Sunday and sit here with us and build a God. And with me, I'm Aggro, by the way. I should probably introduce myself. I've got Lermy, Pon, and Enna here. Gang, this is something we do every year. Get this crowd of incredibly dedicated SMITE fans out and just kind of spitball a little bit, figure something out and build a god. We've done this in the past with gods like Cronus and Sekhmet, Garuda, where one of the abilities actually kind of inspired an ultimate ability that you worked on, right, Pon?
Yeah, so the original pitch for Garuda from the Build a God meeting was kind of the dropship style. People could get together as a team and actually go across the map. And so when we were working on Horus, that actually inspired a lot of inspiration. We had to solve a lot of the problems that we discussed in that Build a God panel about like how do you make sure that people know that they're teleporting, where they're teleporting, how much warning. But it got our brains thinking internally, so it's really cool to see that actually come to fruition.
So your ideas, as good or crazy as they might be, or bad in some cases, like when I suggest them usually, can end up actually being in a god. So we're happy to have you here and joining us. As we talk about our new god for this year, normally this process is very long, lots of research, all that kind of stuff, so we don't have time for that. We usually bring the god to you, and in this case we are, and this year we're doing Bake Neko. We just did Bake Kujira, the ghost whale. Bake Neko is kind of a ghost cat, which, Pon, you've done a good amount of research on. Yeah,
so I did some research on this, so I'm going to give you the brief TLDR so we can get into the god building process. But the Bake Neko is a type of cat spirit that is often vengeful and haunts people or can shapeshift and deceive people to cause inner turmoil. It's largely the kind of abilities that they have is like cat plus. All things cats do, have like the kind of fickle, stupid love you one moment and then bite your hand, like scavenging around, all that kind of stuff that a cat could do. The Bake Kujira, or not Bake Kujira, the Bake Neko can do. But there's the extra kind of added layer of people trying to predict what cats are going to become Bake Nekos, because one way they can become a Bake Neko is actually they split into two cats, one being the Bake Neko and the other one being just the normal cat. And in other cases, they can become a Bake Neko after something kind of vengeful happens. So one story that illustrates that is there was two guys were playing a game of Go, got a little heated, as it does. A lot was on the line. And after the match, one of the other ones killed the other.
Oh, your normal game.
Yep, normal game of Go, standard stuff.
Yep.
And the mother of that guy was so grief-stricken that she cried to this cat, was wailing, and then eventually she died.
Right.
And the Bake Neko ended up drinking her blood after that moment and turned into this vengeful spirit that just went after that dude who killed her son. Like, super vengeful, super loyal, just haunted him to no end.
Love that.
And so there's a lot of ways that they can become Bake Nekos, and there's a lot of different insights to how that might happen. So things like, if you see a cat's tail starting to split as they get older, that might be them becoming a Bake Neko. If they drink lamp oil, which at the time was sardine oil, so of course lots of cats are going to want to go for that. That might be an indication. If they look up the moon, if they just meow at you and you kind of think it sounds like human speech, you just might get the hunch it's a Bake Neko, and so they were often people were really scared of that. And so lots of humans are just kind of jerks, we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
But there's a lot of superstitions about how you might get there. So, But largely I think for this character, you're just kind of looking at what things can cats do and how that might be an ability for the character, as well as they do have that kind of shape-shifting and deception and trickery. And there's a lot of things about like how they'll be a character and then something will give it away that they're not that person. So they might have different mannerisms, or they might not behave the way you expect, or their form might shimmer and flicker out just a little bit.
Sure.
And so you have to figure that out for yourself if you want to avoid being deceived and tormented by the spirit.
Sure. Well, Enna, you heard this backstage a little bit. You were doing some preliminary work on what, here in Pon's story, what Bake Neko could look like.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a little something here. What are some of the things that stood out to you on the art side that caught your ear?
Well, clearly we're really excited that it's because everybody loves Danza. Oh yeah, that's my official concept.
So we're basically
that's
done
a good
actually
idea.
in terms of art.
I'm thinking of skins in the future, and I really think that a keyboard cat, we haven't done that. We need to do that.
Criminal.
But yeah, I actually came up with 3 different options. We could do more of a demonic. We can do more of a cute, puffy, adorable, and then I was thinking of full-on ghost-like spirit. So glowing eyes, really cool looking, ethereal.
Sure.
But yeah, so I just sketched up a basic body. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to hear what the audience has, for ideas.
I know, it's going to be really interesting. And right before we get to that, Lermy, I want to come to you and kind of lead the talk about, we have to determine what type of character this will be, magical, physical, what type of class. We're going to let the audience get involved in that, but from, what are some of the things that would dictate that on your end if you were hearing about that?
Yeah, so normally it tends to come down to what kind of powers does this creature, god, goddess, whatever it might be, have. And so for me, when I'm looking at it, if we have a character, let's just say Ares, he's got a lot of fire, he's got a lot of chains. That's a character that he's got the physicality and the magicalness, but that also then goes into the secondary kind of nature, which is what kind of tankiness level in kind of a sense are they. So Ares, obviously, very tanky. Gotta be in full armor, shield, sword, all that good stuff. So we want to make sure that we're kind of addressing that as well. And with Ares specifically, the flames, really big deal for him. So that was kind of leaning towards the magical direction. So kind of that same process, you guys. So what do they do? How does it work? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Does it feel right that this character is magical, physical, or any of the 5 classes in SMITE?
Right. Well, also kind of a little bit less of a big deal in SMITE 2, right, Pon?
Yeah.
You can build either one.
Yeah, in SMITE 2, we're kind of leaning away from that class structure as rigidly. We're letting characters have different types of damage on their kits, different types of scaling. So if an ability, for example, Ratatosk's Flurry, that might make sense as being a very physical damage ability, physical scaling. But if we want to do something where you said a spirit forward that feels very magical, and that's something that we could also do. So we can kind of do more freeform there, or we could do the more SMITE 1 class structure. Lots of advantages to both way, keeping things more uniform or trying to add that little depth of flavor, but it's kind of up to the audience.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you all have to say. So let's go with, a little bit more SMITE 1 tradition. Should it be more physical or magical? So if you think that Bake Neko sounds more like a physical character, let me hear you right now. A little bit.
Oh, I don't know.
How about should it be a magical character instead? Let me hear you.
That was close.
That's pretty even.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we could try and do something a little split, I mean, that's what we can do in SMITE 2 now. You can build to either path. Why not try and come up with some abilities that one might be physical, one might be magical, and see how that goes? Does that sound good to you all out there? Okay, cool. Now, right before we get to the questions, we also want to establish what type of play style we're going for. So, I mean, immediately you're thinking ghost cat, spirit cat, all that kind of stuff. Cats are quick, cats are agile, that lends itself to assassin right away. But you never know. We could have there are some big boys, some chunkers out there, if you will. Could have a little chunky guy and rolling around in the solo lane or something
Big
like
fan
that.
of that.
Yeah, Anna, that sounds.
I would love that. Just yarn balls and he's just eating a bunch of sardine oil.
That sounds pretty good to me too.
Cute. I
So
love that.
let me hear you if you think assassin play style is the way to go for Bake Neko.
I mean, that seems
Pretty definitive.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go for whatever type of damage you want to do. If it's a physical ability, it can be physical. If it's a magical spirit ability, it can be magical. But a little bit more of an assassin play style here for Bake Neko. So if you have any ideas of what Bake Neko would do, please hop in line. We've got Frog, we've got J-Max standing by and ready to go to take your questions or take your suggestions. And we can start it off right now. It looks like Frog has got a line forming already. Frog, what you got?
Hi, my name is Andrew, and I had the idea of catapults. It allows you to jump onto an ally or enemy non-elite.
Okay.
Okay, kind of bounce it off their heads, so to speak. I mean, assassins' movement ability is key. Need a good one, and that seems like it could be pretty simple right away.
Yeah, I like the flexible movement options of actually if you are successful in being aggressive with it, you get that extra little defensive remaneuvering that you need to. That's why I like the double dash on Ratatosker.
Yep.
If that existed, right? That was just very, very potent, very, very powerful.
Hey, I'm a fan of double dashes. I mean, Maman
Yeah.
Everyone loves Mamandash. Like,
Yeah.
no one has complained to me about it at all. And no one needs to, for the record, so don't. J-Mac, what you got over there?
Come on forward, introduce yourself to everyone.
Yeah, I'm the Kurt Locker. My idea was kind of a riff off the Morgan ult, but kind of toned down. When an ally dies, as a vengeful act, you can take on the image of the ally, god, and then take on their abilities, maybe just without the ultimate, but that way, oh my gosh, my tank died. Take on their abilities, avenge them, and then revert back.
Yeah, I think finding the right shape-shifting ability is going to be key
Yeah.
just from the lore, and that's a cool take on it, Larry.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the idea of like doing it with your allies specifically and like avenging them definitely gives you that like same kind of idea of, oh yeah, you know, something bad happened, which, you know, would spawn the Baki Neko, and then they're doing something to then, you know, pay back for it.
Right. I mean, it's going to be potent, though, Pod.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, getting that.
I'm just imagining, like, you've seen some of the matches here, like, you have everyone commit to kill one person on the team. That's a lot of ultimates, a lot of CC, a lot of, like, things burned to do that. And then if Baki Neko can just be like, nope, I'm that person again, that's very, very potent.
Yeah.
Very strong, for sure. We got a good, wow, we got a lot of people lined up. We're going to have to go fast. Frog, what you got for us?
Tell us your name and then the idea. Chris, and my idea would be for Baki Neko to have a sort of a disarming meow or even a purr where it endears itself to the enemy. So they're disarmed, they could even be silenced, and then it lashes out with, similar to Dodgy one, where it causes a bleed. Sure. I think that'd be a great assassin ability.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need CC, you need some setup
Yep.
there. Go ahead.
I just got like the immediate visual of like the cat kind of floating on like the back. Like, so I have 3 cats at home, right? And one of them loves to just roll on her back, but you do not touch the belly.
Not allowed.
You touch the belly, you're going to get destroyed. And so I'm just imagining like this cat kind of floating in the air on the back, and then like after like a second or two, everyone in the area like can't fight because everyone's so adored, and then all of a sudden like,
yeah,
I
something
love
like
that
would be
idea.
Cool.
Yeah,
Could also be a cool little like counter ability.
Yeah,
almost,
I was thinking
you
like
know?
a parry, like it's one of almost like Nemesis Shield, right, where she can you know, put up the barrier and do that, but instead it would be like, you know, if you get hit while you're so cute, I mean, you got to get punished for that.
You're not allowed to touch the belly for sure.
Yeah.
Anna, you cooking something up over there? Are you
Just
ready
a
for
little
us, or
bit.
you want me to wait a little
I'm
bit?
just writing down these great ideas with some ability.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, Pod's
Yeah,
reaction
yeah.
makes me think we should check in and see what Anna's got cooking
So,
so far.
in my professional opinion, we've got.
You now see my reaction.
Yes.
They pay me the big bucks. So yeah, I was thinking, you know, like the pounce, the shapeshift. I really love that idea
Yep.
from the local hero. I suggested that, and then the counter, I immediately thought of like Shrek with the cat. Just
Yes,
like,
the
I think
Puss in
that's
Boots.
amazing.
Yes.
I just love the idea of like there's some feature that really gives it away that that's not the right guy.
Yes, exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Just the headdress on the cat head, like.
Can you imagine Neath with cat ears? I mean, we've done it a million times,
Yeah.
but
But this would be a whole
yeah,
other level.
this would be
for sure.
adorable.
Okay, great. We're off to a great start here for the Build a God panel. J-Mac, what about you?
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and what's your idea for Baki Neko?
Yeah, so I'm Cinelin, and I had the idea of Bake would put a debuff on you that would negate all healing and instead deal it as damage and would heal you a tiny bit.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, could be always looking for those specific counter picks. I think that's something that MOBAs allow for that is really interesting, and having an anti-healing assassin would be good. We haven't had one in a long time since like Serket is who I think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the OG one, right? But you have like the specialty characters that kind of do that a lot. Like you think of Odin as kind of like that direct counter a lot of times, and yeah, having someone like that would be really cool, where it's like very dependent on what the enemy does. Like I'm almost thinking like the same vein as like Opwash, where like
Yeah.
you get that extra effect if you're playing into that specific kind of ability.
Yeah, I think you can play it into also the vengeful theme, right? Because like that's one of those things where if you're trying to be tricky, you actually want to take the advantage they think that they're about to get, and then just turn it on its head all of a sudden. So
Right.
I love theming it around that.
Yeah, very cool. All right, how about you, Frog? Your line.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and your idea.
My name's Matt, Full Sail Armada, let's go. My idea is instead of a full damage assassin, maybe a team player assassin, you can jump onto an ally, give them a little power boost, and then jump off to attack an enemy.
Okay, cool. So kind of taking a riff on that pounce idea from earlier, and maybe your initial dash onto an ally is a little bit shorter, but because you can springboard off of them, get some extra distance, you know, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm seeing the vision.
I mean, I'm just thinking my cats. Oak will use me as a springboard. So like literally he'll just jump on my shoulders and then jump onto the top of the fridge. And then now he's on top of the fridge and doesn't know how to get down. He's like, why'd you let me up here?
Right. Then that was
They're
your
just another
fault, to be
platform.
clear.
You don't exist. It's just another way to get up.
Absolutely. All right, J-Mac, let's head to your line.
All right, well, I know you, but go ahead and introduce yourself, everybody, and what's your idea?
So I'm Spooky Mars. I am one of the community team casters for SWC. My idea, I was actually talking to Frog last night about some. It was great. He really liked it, and he specifically asked me to bring it to you. So we were talking about what kind of ultimate a new god could have. And since it's a cat, cats love yarn, and we love global ults, right? So we're thinking maybe like some strands of yarn come down from the sky, hit everyone. It's untargeted, of course, just automatically hits everyone. Wraps them in some yarn, and it's kind of like a sleep effect, right? It slows them down for a little bit, and then after like a second and a half, it puts them into like a mez for 8 seconds. And if they get hit, they take some bonus true damage. And if Bake Neko is the one to deal the damage,
I'm about to send you to the back of the line. What are you on? Have you played this game? Did you just say an 8-second mez?
why not?
Back of the line, Mars, back of the line.
So I think the best part about that is, so internally we get everyone on the team to actually come pitch us ideas. We have a whole bunch of meetings set up for that.
Yep.
And like 6 people at the company have a bit.
Yes.
They always have a bit.
Yep.
And that was the type of setup that leads into, the ball of string comes down, wraps them up. It kind of takes a shape of something, maybe a bit maybe it could have some wheels and it pulls them up onto a track and you're playing SMITE card.
Yeah.
And like that's the bit.
That's the
they will
bit.
always sneak it into to a pitch, and you always expect it, but you never know when it's going to happen, and it always catches you off guard.
I think one of the best bits that we've ever had from anyone was Dolson's boy in a boat
Yes,
bit, and then
he
we
always
finally got
wants
to
the
do
boys in
it
the boat.
with
I know.
Karen. That was very exciting.
Yes, yeah. No one would have a bit. Like, having a bit is a respectable thing, though. Like, if someone on this stage happens to have a bit about a certain ability that would always get pitched, everyone would think that's funny and cool, right?
No.
Weird, I do. Anyways, Frog, what's your line got for us?
All right, it's going to be tough to beat the 8-second mez, but give us your name. What are you thinking?
So my name is Wade Dykes from Arkansas. So my thought process is most cats are pretty fast. You know them for zoomies and stuff like that. So my thought was maybe for an assassin, especially in this magical physical split, you have a 3-split kind of dash that one of them you can choose that you actually go, and the other ones create kind of a spectral form. The spectrals go like more magical, and then if you hit somebody, of course you either slow them or you can even do the pounce idea with the spectral cats, which are more on the magical side.
Sure. I think that's a really cool way to incorporate that trickery aspect and have a different type of movement ability.
Yeah, I love that. Just the amount of tricks and deception that you can pull with that ability is going to be really, really high, and I like how it brings that more spiritual side to you. You have literally that physical magical split where one of them is going to be the real one and the other ones are going to be that kind of magical ghost form. So that's a cool way of bringing that in.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and something we would have to think about, Lermy, in this is how am I deciding which one to take? You know what I mean? Like that control aspect of it. There are lots of really good base ideas that then we have to go, oh, but is it going to feel good having to figure out how to control it?
And even beyond that, like the difficulty of the character comes into question a lot of times too, which is, not even necessarily difficulty in terms of that skill ceiling, but the skill floor. We want to make sure that characters are, moderately accessible, right? Where people can pick it up and still feel like they know what they're doing to a moderate amount. Of course, you got to take a couple games to feel like you really know the character, but we want to make sure that when players are playing SMITE and they're playing the various gods that they can pretty much figure out, oh, okay, that's doing damage, or okay, I'm dashing right now.
Right.
So we want to make sure that whatever targeters we're using, whatever visuals come into play, it's going to be very clear, very concise, and even with things like kind of similar to this being like Sun Wukong 3, that's another ability that has that very clear visual distinction, especially with the 3D targeter where you'll have the animal inside of it. You could have various different poses of the Bake Neko doing various actions.
Absolutely, yeah, good point. All right, J-Mac, what you got for us?
Go ahead and introduce yourself and your idea for Bake Neko.
Yeah, hi, user is Sirbendi. You've seen me if you're in Diamond and Bad. I want to lean into the trickster aspect more, like the ghostly spirit thing. So my thinking, right, is you send out like a clone of yourself, and you can direct it around, direct where it goes. It'll fake any animations you do, any sounds you do. So you can really trick people with where you are. Maybe with like an ultimate, you can teleport to it, so you can think it's the fake one, think you're coming from around them, teleport to it, maybe burst of damage with the ult or something. I don't know. We're missing a trickster god. We really need one.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a combination of like the Morgan, Loki, and a couple of other things all kind of all meshed together. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I was really thinking of Morgan 3.
Yeah,
Can you repeat that real quick, just because it was a little bit hard to hear?
Sure. So you make a clone, and then it can play some of your sounds. It can throw off the enemy, but you can also choose to swap places with it.
Nice.
And deal some damage on landing. And I think that it is a good extension of what we've used for the Morrigan and all that kind of stuff. A very clear, tricky amount of things, and I think that having that. Is that the real one? Is that the clone type of play? Is something really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way that Morrigan does it, but you can kind of tell, right? And even with Wukong, who's another character that does something similar, there are times where that guy gets me, the clone. I'm like, oh my god, I thought he was just inting.
Why is this guy basic attacking me? Yeah,
Why
exactly.
is he just walking up and inting? What's going on here?
Right.
So I really like the idea of like having another kind of clone, but it being even a little bit trickier too. Like I would love to see some more of that like kind of movement worked into it, or even like they were talking about doing sounds, abilities, animations, whatever it might be, to kind of play around that idea.
Yeah, and I hear you're in the kitchen yet again with what we've got.
I'm just out here cooking.
Let's check and see what you've got. What you've got right now.
Well, I had some ideas for healing and transpo. I just think it'd be really neat to see him like hop on the head or something like that if he were a small character. Although then again, we can make him like a large cat.
Sure.
And that would be neat. But and then transpo, just him getting through the map.
Yeah,
as an expert.
this is the boys in the boat pitch.
Yeah,
but
Geb
for Dave.
Aww.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I am thinking that like maybe it would make a lot of sense, and depending on some of the stuff that UE5 might be allowed to do, you might actually be able to scale that character depending. So it might be this big cat that might be on the scale of like maybe even like an Odin. But like when they do this ability, they kind of shrink down and sit on top of the head, and then as they pounce off, they grow. You get that like growing moment of them actually going. That might be really cool.
Yeah.
I have no idea if we can actually do it, but
No, I like the idea for sure. That sounds very cool. All right, let's head to Frog's line and see what they got.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us your idea.
I'm Bloody Lifetime, and my idea is y'all mentioned the idea of how Bakeneko is a trickster and uses human voices as well. So one of my thoughts is I really like how Discordia Golden Apple, whenever you ult someone, they say you rock whenever they get hit by it. So an additional effect onto some of Bakeneko's abilities to kind of expand that idea. Maybe enemy missing left, gank right lane, or some other effect like that to really kind of add to that trickster idea.
Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
That's so cool.
We've definitely wanted to play with things like that, but we've always been a little bit nervous that people would get too annoyed.
I mean, we had a discussion about it at least a little bit around like Mama was one of them that has like the alternate voice lines, which is really cool. But yeah, Discordia really is like the OG of like manipulating the VGS system, and dude, that's just sick. That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, I've watched people actually get tilted by that, and so people had to explain like, no, I'm not trying to be.
I'm not just spamming I'm the greatest over and over.
That's
I am.
so on theme.
Yes.
So good.
Absolutely perfect for her. All right, J-Max line, what you got?
I had a lot of great ideas so far. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then give us your idea for Bakeneko.
Hi, my name is Jaron. I had almost the exact same line of thinking of the person that was right in front of me, but to iterate on that, just maybe something is off about the clones. Maybe like the color or like the effect is a little different, playing into that idea that there is a tell that gives away the Bakeneko right before it happens.
Yeah.
Or maybe an idea for a passive ability is that whoever last killed you, or if you witness a teammate die, you get a damage buff against that character, just to give you sort of a way to hunt them back or get back into it.
Okay, a little bit of a revenge against the enemies at that point. Okay, I kind of like it.
I like it. Yeah, and I think that the idea of there's something slightly off about the clone is a really good lore tie-in to what you were talking about, Pom.
Yeah, like maybe like the ears on the head socket, or like we can use the buff belt socket to put like maybe a tail on characters. There might be some cool things we can do there to like actually bring some elements and make it so that if you're paying really close attention, you can actually tell.
Yeah, I love that for sure. All right, let's head to Frog's line again.
All right, I know you, but go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us your idea.
Hello, I'm Mechanus Cadesius, a local here, and my idea was more for a passive for this new god based around the idea of if Bakeneko would be crowd controlled to kind of store that maybe and be able to take it back out on the enemies later, up to maybe a 50% duration increase on crowd controls afflicted to his opponents.
Yeah, I mean, playing off that agility, you know, you try and grab a cat that doesn't want to be grabbed, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that having something in as well, assassins love to slip CC. I think it could certainly be very good, but got to have a cooldown on that type of thing. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
something you got to keep in mind as well with a lot of passives, right? Is that some effects can be really, really strong, so you only have it happen every so often. Like the one that I can think of that is probably most famous for that is Sylvanas' old passive.
Yes.
Where he would root people that were hitting him as well. So that's kind of a similar idea of what we're cooking up there. So it's definitely interesting, and it makes sense for a character like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. And I like the idea of I mean, that's something that we think about is, all right, we got to get a passive. We got to get a clear ability. We got to get, you know, CC, you know, their ultimate, all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate the idea of let's find something for the passive, because that's something.
Yeah, we definitely do that a lot. There's times where we're like, how do we ultimatify this ability, or even de-ulting an ability has happened before, where we'll come to a pitch and we'll say, okay, this is what I want for the ultimate, and then we go, wait, that would be really sick as a normal ability. Why don't we just make it a normal ability? So there's ways that you can kind of like amp up the, you know, whether it's the presentation or the actual action itself of whatever ability is kind of being pitched to ultimatify or unultimatify it.
Right, for sure. All right, J-Max line, let's head to you.
What's your name? Do you have any cats? I think that's something we should have asked, you know, some of the other people. Is do you own a cat?
I'm actually allergic to cats.
It's okay. I'm in the exact same boat. Dog owner, any kind of animals?
I do have a dog, yeah.
Okay. What's your idea for Bakeneko?
I was thinking more of like a passive, kind of playing off the trickster vibe. I was thinking something where like maybe every third ability, when you use an ability, it procs a random sound cue of a different god. That way, it maybe not even necessarily in the game, like the current game you're playing, but just procs a random like sound cue.
I'm glad you guys come up with passes. We get into our God meetings, like nobody's thinking passes. We're all thinking like the big bang ultimates. We got some creative passive players out here.
Yeah, I like it for sure. And everyone loves the like god ability sound videos, you know, guessing what ability that is. But you hear how deceiving just hearing an ability in a vacuum can be. It can definitely throw some people off, so I like it. Anna, I'm told that I should be checking in with you because you're in your bag yet again.
You know, just out here working. Not as serious as the other drawings I was doing, but I thought it would be like really cool to just go ahead and start with the initial costume design.
Yeah.
Just adding like a lantern and just little bits and pieces of his lore that Pawn mentioned, like the salmon oil lamps that just really stuck out to me, and I thought it would be really neat for him to carry lamps on his waist. Also a really cool fish-style pauldron on the side. And then just, you know, the rest of his body, like cats don't really need too much, so he would just be a cute cat with some armor on top, and
I think it's a great look for sure. I mean, again, a cat's not going to be wearing too much, like Anna said, but I love the lore tie-in of the little lamp for sure.
Yeah, that is really cute. I think especially just because like they talked about in the lore as well how Bakeneko, when they look up at the moon, like their eyes will kind of shrink up like cats are wont to do. So that's kind of like another kind of glowing thing in the darkness that kind of alludes to that like kind of eye thing that they talked about.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely awesome. All right, Frog's line. Let's head to you.
I like the question from J-Max. We have to know, do you have any cats?
No, I'm a dog person, but...
Well, introduce yourself and tell us your idea.
I'm Connor, and I'm going along more of the cat idea, where it's going to be a flurry of paws, where it's a long channel ability that stacks up damage the more you just whack someone. I think we've all seen the cat videos of them just going absolutely ham on each other. So I just think it'd be funny watching two Bakenekos slapping the crap out of each other.
Yes, I'm seeing the vision immediately of two Bakenekos, you know, going full paws. I like it. And I think that, you know, we have a couple of assassin channel abilities that assassins want to do things quickly, so you have to let them be able to pay off something like a long channel. But I think that there's a lot of interesting design space there that you can really work with. And we also have been needing a clear ability, you know, how is Bakeneko clearing the jungle camps and something like a channeled paw swipe could really work well.
Yeah, we also do in-hand chains. That's where my brain went to. Is like you have like slash, 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 slash.
Yeah.
And that slash or slash could actually have bonus effects as like the payoff for actually getting to the full end of the chain. So some assassins really want to do in-hand canceling. Some actually want to get to the end of their chain. Like Thanatos like does that when he's fighting a god. He wants to in-hand cancel, but when he's clearing the jungle, he really wants to get to that cleave.
Right.
So just that kind of stuff can really help you clear as a jungler as well.
Especially it's like basic attack cancels are so much fun. Having that being incorporated into the kit. Like the one that I think of the most is like you have Thor when you just want to hammer wall attack and like all of that in between. Doing stuff like that is so much fun. So having a way to kind of access even like an in-hand swap at some point to do different kinds of cancels would be really, really fun.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. All right, let's head to J-Max line.
Introduce yourself and what idea that you have for our ghostly cat.
Hi, my name's Tyron, and when I looked at the design, I first immediately thought of Rattle, so through the cosmos, but instead of Yggdrasil's branches, I thought of the Torii Gate that is normally around Japanese shrines and even within Tokyo Bay itself, and kind of thought of it being kind of more of a 70 unit wide radius ult where she can just jump between each post and being able to jump on someone, being able to cause damage, and adding onto that with these 3 spread like dash, being able to have 2 extra spectral versions of herself, being able to feint where she's going to end up.
Okay. I like the idea going on there. Look, Ratatosker, always a fun guy to kind of watch. You know, never know where he's going to land at so much time. So I like the idea of being able to feint and kind of trick where everybody's going to be going.
Yeah, that's very cool. And having an iconic, image of the Torii Gates, I think makes a lot of sense. And yeah, faking a jump to one and going to a different one is very cool.
Yeah, I love just the trickster elements that are at play there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that reminds me of like how, you can kind of do that with some of the other ults in the game. Like Yorm is one that I'm thinking of. Is like, am I going to go there? Am I going to go there? And being able to kind of read that is so much fun. When you get like the correct read, that kind of skill expression and like, you have those really iconic moments that you feel like, I owned there.
Right.
Like, that's what we really want to empower players to do, is to have that moment where they feel like they popped off.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like the clip of like Humbat's getting ready to jump over a wall and just jumping in place, and the other person jumps over the wall.
Yep.
Like that, that's just such a mental play that if you were that Odin that was like chasing that Humbat's and you jumped over and they jumped in place, you're just shattered for the rest of the game. It's over.
Yeah, you've outplayed them mentally. It's game over for sure. All right, let's head to Frog's line.
All right, go ahead and tell us your name.
All right, I'm Alien Invader.
And then I'm going to use the prompt up on the screen here. Hey, yo, what the cat doing?
Well, I had a little bit more of a higher order idea instead of a specific ability, sort of lean into SMITE 2, gods being able to have both physical and magical, just make it a stance switcher. Have a normal looking cat that has physical damage for its abilities, maybe a little bit less offensive, and then have the ability to switch into the ghostly, more ethereal form and have it do magical damage for the abilities.
I like that a lot. We do not have enough stance switchers.
I was surprised it took so long to get to the stance switcher pitch. It always gets there, and for good reason.
Yeah, I'm just going to go down the SMITE 2 track for a little bit. There's some other things that are really cool that we're only starting to really scratch the surface on and starting to experiment with. But with the active items, you could just give a character an item that does this, so it doesn't actually take up an ability slot, and that way you have a bit more control, or you could have different upgrade paths like a Ratatosker Acorn, but because you have that extra active keybind, you could actually do some stuff that doesn't actually force it to be on the ability slot bar itself. So just throwing that out there.
Okay, yeah, I could. It's like wow, I'm really good at talking. Wrath Acorn, like you were saying, but it's a ball of yarn that's exclusive to Bake Neko, and if you it's got its stats or whatever, use the active button, you go spirit mode, a little bit more intelligence scaling type of thing.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely see that on that kind of character, especially if you want to like switch up who you're ganking as a jungler. If you want to, like the Soul Laner has only like int defense or something like that, and you want to switch to the physical side of things and do some strength damage, I feel like that would be a crazy, crazy option for the jungler to have.
And stance switching does get brought up for like almost every guy at some point. It's the ranged versus physical or melee. It's the magical versus physical. It's something we love to bring up, but it is a lot of work to be fair. So we'll have to be sure. All right, J-Mac, what you got over there?
Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, and then tell us your idea for the cat.
Hi, my name's Preston. So my idea is it's another passive idea, kind of inverse to Kali, where you get to choose an ally, and if that ally is killed, whoever killed it, you get the bonus damage towards them, the revenge thing. But maybe add on to it, like add a little Thanatos passive in there, where if they're like it pulses out and lets you see where they are on the map every like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, something like that, until either you kill them or you die type thing. Just something along those lines.
Okay, kind of combining the best of both worlds on a couple of different assassins for another one. I like the idea.
Yeah, very cool. I think that getting that passive locked in is also oftentimes a good keystone or cornerstone to kind of build the rest of the kit off of. You know?
Yeah, if you have a pass like that, you're definitely trying to play up the vengeful angles there, and so I could see a lot of the other abilities really playing into that as well, and trying to make the best use of that kind of deception and vengeful nature.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Anna, let's check in with you and see what you got cooking.
All right. So I worked a little bit more on the concept. I immediately thought when I looked at all of the stuff about Bakaneko was the markings on his body. I think it would be really cool to mix like the physicality of it and also adding glowing bits to his body. Like there's these pieces that are glowing naturally. And then on a more serious note, I did another thing. So like that would be something that he could do, like slap, slap, slap. And then paw prints everywhere.
Right.
I really love that idea. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? It's been like maybe like 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes you just like have not only a whole new concept over there, but like you also have your front image there and you just play it. Like, can we just give a big hand to that? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
That is incredible.
Anna is the GOAT. Like, we're literally watching Michael Jordan play basketball right now.
It's
Let
unbelievable.
me give a quick shout out real quick to the concept team back at Hi-Rez, because they're the ones that have taught me how to do all this. So
It's true.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out the concept team.
Yeah.
They are goated for sure.
My babies.
All right, let's get like one or two more suggestions, and then we'll do a little bit of crowd cheer voting to kind of select a direction for some of these, and then we can get back to the ideas with a little bit more focus. I think that could work out well. So Frog, let's head to you.
All right, go ahead and tell us your name and your idea for Bakaneko.
So my name's the Divine Ape, and then my idea was stand switching, but I like the idea of incorporating all three of the designs shown: the demonic, the nice one, and the spectral form. So I was thinking like tier, where they stand switch with the third ability, and then first two are demonic, and then second stance would be two of the nice one, and then when they ult, it would be a spectral form that sort of combines the two stances.
I love that.
Okay, that's really cool.
I love that idea, similar to like what we've done with all the tiered gods that like have like the one, oh god, I forget the one, the demonic one for Loki.
Oh,
Remember that one?
I know which one you're talking about. I'm also in the exact same place you are.
I think that would be so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, I really like that too because, you know, stim ultimates, we have a few of them and they are very exciting, but we try and limit how much we do that. But tying it in, like stance switchers, usually you stand switch with ult, but tier is unique in that aspect, and kind of like that combination of stim ultimate and stance switch on a regular ability could be really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. All right, J-Mac, let's head to your line.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then what ability idea do you have for Bakaneko?
My name's John. I'm actually part of Kittens with Mittens in the OSL League. So I was thinking for a dash, if you dash and hit someone, it kind of turns into like a Tsukiyomi ult a little bit, where the cat's bouncing back and forth and doing some damage. And of course, you have to call it the zoomies.
Yeah.
You can't call it anything else.
Yeah, no, we are legally required to call it zoomies.
Yeah, whatever the ability is that makes the cat go fast is zoomies.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay, Lermy, you've been taking some notes. You've been kind of categorizing these. What are some of the things that are standing out to you that maybe we could, say, do we want to go this direction or this direction, and let the crowd kind of narrow it down?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of run us through what we have so far. A lot of the passives have been all kind of in the same nature of having that kind of vengeful style with it. So I think that's pretty locked down, that it seems like that is kind of the way that we want to go.
Yep.
In terms of our clear, we had a couple options between something like the scratchies, which is very fun. We also had the kind of clones as well, which was coming up a lot in terms of like using it for various purposes.
Sure.
So it really seems like there were a lot of like in terms of clear, it really was the rapid slices. Okay, but to finally get us to something that we can talk about here, we have, what we usually kind of identify, like our clear is our 1, our CC or utility is our 2, movement is our 3. That's like typically the way it goes. Not every guy follows that.
Right.
So the movement is what is going to be fun here. So we've got the zoomies that we just talked about, right? That's going to be an awesome one. Of course, we've got the trickery with the clones, which is great. And then I guess the third one that we had that was awesome was the Wukong style targeter of changing what kind of dash that you do by aiming it differently.
And the pounce as well, right? Onto the ally, kind of ricocheting off of there. So we know that we've got some really good movement ability options. It seems like some clear options, because this is what at least for me in my process, what I do is kind of lay out like this, like, okay, here are my clear abilities that I kind of like, here are my CC, utility, movement. And it seems like if I were making this kit right now, I'd be telling myself, I need some more clear abilities to try and find the right one. So maybe just something, if you have an idea that isn't a clear ability, feel free to keep throwing that out. But that's what we'd be doing on our side, is trying to brainstorm this particular thing that we're still looking for. How are we looking on the ultimates, by the way? What are we looking
really
at?
Cool. We've got the Tori style, being able to move around and kind of like switch and be deceptive there. We've also got a couple of the like abilities, especially the VGS one that was kind of like ultimate style, use some kind of trickery there to kind of like mix up enemy comms, which I thought was really cool.
Sure.
We've also got the debuffing enemies so they don't heal, they take damage instead. And then on top of that, we've got the ally dying to transform into them.
Right, the shape-shifting, yeah. I think we should probably try and find some more shape-shifting things too. Even if we really even when you really love an idea, and a lot of these base ideas are really great, we want to try and get down the line, are we exploring the whole idea of this theme? So clear abilities and shape-shifting could be the same, could be different, let's find out. So Frog, let's head to your line and see what we got.
All right, go ahead and tell us your name and what are you thinking?
So my name is Benny, and it's the same request I had last year. SMITE really just needs some milk.
The milk.
It fits pretty well here.
The milk pitch has returned.
I mean, in this case, it makes sense, right?
Yes. This is your best milk pitch yet. I will give you this.
Can you expand on how the milk would relate to the cat, or is it just milk?
Maybe we could just give Baki and Echo a bowl of milk. They've been a nice cat. They deserve it.
Maybe a backing animation?
That's what I was about to say, Frog, is that yes, we do have these little moments, and they're backing animations, they're taunt animations, they're waves, they're claps. This is a constant bit here on the show, which I can appreciate. And I think this is the most likely one to get the bowl of milk.
Yeah, it just makes sense. And I think that's another fun part about what we do as well.
Yes.
Is we do more than just the abilities when it comes to the brainstorming. Sometimes we'll talk to various teams, like we'll talk to the effects team or the animation team, and they'll come to us and they'll say, well, we're doing this character. I really think it would be cool if they could do this. And so, like we were talking about, that kind of like flavor animation of like having, the bowl of milk. Maybe when they come back and they just animate, they're like, oh, I'm home, back at my place in my little milk bowl.
And it's milk time, That's what they say. He says that in a very clear human voice.
The voice packs too.
Yes, it's
so that's
milk
what he says.
It's milk time. That's what he says. All right, J-Mac, let's head to your line.
Yeah, I've got the future of designers here, starting out very young on this. What's your idea for Bakadeko?
So my idea is if it's a support, like it jumps onto an ally and blocks all damage from going through. And then if it's an assassin, it's like a furball, and the more kills it has, the stronger it is.
Okay, I like the idea. Hey, good suggestions, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. I think that the hairball aspect is something that hasn't been brought up quite yet, and that can work well. But even as an assassin, I think that having that utility on your dash, probably not blocking all of the damage, because that's a little bit more guardian, as he said, but being able to absorb some definitely could work.
I loved the I just got the visual of like being on top of the head, like the drawing that we had earlier. But like, how like cats will like knock things off the table, just batting away all the things that are trying to hurt this person.
Yes, yeah, just knocking it down.
It's funny too, because like if you do shape shifting, that's something that we did with Bear, and we added extra bones to like make things stretchy and be able to like actually like grow in size. Right. Imagine like the small cat being on top, and then just like giant claw bashes you away from the person that you're on. So like you're kind of like a moving Kuzenbo at that point.
Yeah, you can even jump onto an enemy and clear out his peel. You know what I mean? Like knock away his own allies and do something like that. Okay, we're cooking now. I like it. All right, Frog, let's head over to your line and see what you got.
Well, tell us your name.
Hi, my name's Dalton.
And then what's your idea for Bake Neko?
Yeah, so my idea was kind of more in line with like the Neko model, like split tail part. But as the game kind of goes on, the tail starts to split, and then you also can become more ghostly with that. And that can tie into the actual abilities by a passive. But as you rank up your abilities more and more, you get like more penetration or more power, so that you have a bit more scaling. But early game, this could also help with like a jungle clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big fan of the passive stats that are tied to ability ranks. I think it's a really natural way to scale something throughout the game. So, I mean, I think assassins are usually very, very good places for it. So, yeah. I'm a big fan.
It's also something that we have to decide internally is like, is this character meant to be kind of good early game, mid game, late game, and often where you might bring that type of effect in so that you actually get a late game scaling component somewhere in the kit so that you feel like you're impactful late game, because that's a problem with a lot of assassins is you are very good in the early game, late game it's really hard for you to get into a team fight and impact, so just a way to kind of balance that out.
Sure, absolutely. All right, I hear we're ready for an art check-in here, and I think I'm excited to see what you got.
Lots of good work here. So
there's the zoomies. Oh my goodness, that is so good. That is serious.
Thank you. Wow. And of course we have to give it out for the milk.
Yeah, I knew
as
soon as the milk came up, I was like, I knew Anna was going to be all over
Can't
that.
wait. That's what brings me here.
Yep.
But yeah, zoomies, and then I changed this one up because I really love that idea of it being like a giant paw swipe and him sitting on top of somebody.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's a great look. Big fan of that. So we're making some good progress. I think the latch on to an enemy with the dash. I will warn you all, God designers out there, that when you allow someone to dash onto someone and ride with them, you do get a lot of angry DMs about it. Something to be wary of. At least in my experience, you'll get some angry DMs. But again, fits the assassin theme, and if he's damageable, it's fine, right?
I do want to throw like a little bit of a cool side thing.
Yeah, please do.
So Baron, his original ult was you dash into an enemy and you kind of possess them, and you got to do certain things on them.
Yeah.
And so seeing Maman actually get that kind of possession tech in there, it was like it's entirely invisible to everyone because we never really talked too much about that. But like it was a cool internal callback to that, and like the way you execute on it was like incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We have lots of abilities, right, that we don't ever like show, right? We have so many things that we go through to actually iterate on abilities, and it's not even like going through completely new abilities too. There are some abilities that even through like the development of the god themselves that just change, especially like some of the like utility of it will change occasionally. Like for instance, with Maman, like you were talking about, the ultimate didn't always have a knockup.
No, it didn't. And for a lot of time, the ultimate was very, very weak, and determined that she needed a little bit more oomph. And the reason the knockup got added was because the ult felt weak, and we had trouble with how we wanted to present it artistically, that we really wanted to let her throw it with a lot of momentum, and that was the presentation we liked. But then it just dealing damage, it was heavy, in her hand, it was heavy as she threw it, and then it just kind of like landed with a little pop. Yeah. And that wasn't really like fitting thematically in that. So adding that little knockup helped give the idea of the weight of the projectile.
There's so much to the feel and like the visual tie-in of like what the character's doing. Because a lot of times in Smite, you'll say, "Oh my God, ow, that hurt."
Yep.
I did not get hurt. Did I get hurt playing Smite? I did not.
Yep.
But when something is hitting you, if it has that weight, if it has that feel, and it translates into the gameplay and the mechanics themselves, you'll get that interaction. You really will kind of like feel it in a sense.
For sure, absolutely. All right, let's get it over to J-Mac's line and see what they got.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and then your idea for the cat.
My name's Gear, and my idea is, depending on who Bake pounces on, so if it pounces on an enemy, it'll blind them like a cat causing problems if it was a laptop or something, and so it's on the screen, it's just like a cat kind of crisscrossing the screen. And if they pounce on an ally, they'll cleanse them from god debuffs such as like Opwash, DOT, Cthulhu, Madness, or the new Maman debuff.
Yeah.
And then if they do cleanse that, they get angry, and they can get an opportunity to jump from the ally to an enemy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like that idea. First of all, what the god that is being pounced on, if you're an enemy, is seeing visually. I like that idea of, you know, scratching at their eyes, whatever. Plus, that's a classic F-Dot bit. He always had to implement a blind. That was always a bit of his. Pocket sand was always a big one. And I like the idea of cleansing a god debuff, and then if you cleanse a god debuff, then you could instantly get to the god whose debuff you cleansed. You know, like you can fly across the sky, you know, cat mode, but be able to access a target because they made the mistake of hurting your ally, you know?
So I love just getting a variety of feedback pitches for abilities, because even if we don't use that ability directly, like often it's good to have those notes because something will happen in my brain. And so the second you started talking about the kind of post-process of like scratching out the eyes, my brain just immediately fired off, and I was thinking like, imagine like the cat walking on your ability bar and staring down at it, and like whatever ability you fired after that point, it would just bat it off your UI, and it would like fall off for a little bit of time.
Wow, that would be so cool.
Completely tangential to that pitch, but like it like, that's why we have so many internal groups that we bring in to get a variety of feedback, is because we really want as many ideas, because it helps us really kind of flesh out the kit as we need to.
And especially with like the idea that you were talking about of like bouncing off of other people's ideas, that whole idea was like, what if we, you know, silence specific abilities? Like, you know, how we were talking about how, you know, we tend to like put specific abilities in places on the bars, right? Or even like just disabling ultimates by themselves, that could be a thing. So I really like that idea of being able to kind of like specifically disable one ability or one kind of ability.
Yeah, my immediate thought when you said that was increasing the cooldown of the next ability they use. So you do the anti-CDR tech that we've been kind of working with, and you know, they put a paw print, they're on top of you, you use an ability, whatever that ability is, they paw print on it, and it stamps 3 seconds on the cooldown. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Getting that feedback there is important to also explain to people the mechanic at play, because if you just make it so that this ability has a long cooldown, that often might not be visible. But yeah, if you do that paw print stamp, that like actually makes it really clear to the player what actually happened there.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. I love that idea. I think that we could definitely do something with that. All right, only have time for a few more. Let's head over to Frog's line.
All right, tell us your name and then your idea for the cat.
Evan, and my idea for the cat was in the passive have like a stacking ability that is based on the number of like allies that die recently. Like you're seeking out vengeance for them, you get empowered basically, or like either that, or you get like power based on like shutting down the enemy, just because, you know, you're getting revenge essentially, and once it's satiated, you get stronger because of it.
Yeah, I really like that. That kind of fits the vengeance theme we've already been going for.
Yeah, and it's always good to notice if we have underlying tech that has supported something. ESET passive has that tracking nearby ally deaths. Yeah. Very easy probably to put a different type of hook on it and allow them to do that. So I like that idea a lot. J-Mac, let's head to your line.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then what's your idea for Bakaneko?
Hi, my name's Patrick, and my cat, she gets the zoomies really bad, and so it's really fun to see her pounce and springboard off of things. So my idea was simply like a dash that, or like more like a leap, that if she hits a wall or maybe a minion or a god or something, that she bounces off and like gets kind of like the Hu Yi one, where like if it hits a wall it bounces off. It's like a jump kind of thing, where if she hits the wall she bounces off of them.
Okay, so kind of like Ricochet, kind of like, you know, the Nene Kappa, but jumping instead. That's wild. I like that idea.
Thank you. We have talked about basically that ability before. It's something that we really like, and it would not surprise me at all if it was on a kit one day. It's the Ricochet, but you're the projectile, you know? And I think that movement would feel really, really good, so.
And I'm even thinking about like, because if we're making this character play kind of like an assassin, how do you actually gank, right? And so you could have a dash that's straight forward, just does some damage, or maybe you might find an opportunity to be like, I could actually jump onto this wall. Maybe jumping off the wall gives me more range, might push the target a little bit, so you can actually try and position yourself well to actually push that target into a devastating position and then actually do the gank successfully that way. So make sure the gank makes sense on the character.
The Ricochet also makes sense as well, being a little tricky. Like with the existing Ricochets that we have with like Hercules or Hu Yi especially, just being able to walk up and go, you never know where I'm going to put this Ricochet. Kind of the same idea where you'll if you move yourself into this kind of unpredictable location for them, they won't really be able to react to it. So we got to make sure.
That's this is the toughest part, is that I feel like when you hit two abilities in the same archetype, where I love this ricochet dash idea, and I love the attach to an ally, knock away something, whatever it is. I think that would be really, really awesome. So now it's like, but can he really have two jumps, or two dashes of some kind?
Serket does.
Serket does. Why not Bake Neko? All right, let's do it. I believe we're ready for Frog's line to go here.
Go ahead and tell us your name and your idea for Bake Neko.
Name's Londo. I think a cool idea for the Bake Neko would be able to jump on top of the jungle walls and be able to move across the map that way and be able to knock things down and kind of disrupt the team, maybe knock off a ward or two.
I kind of dig that, like interacting with wards. I'm not sure that's something we've ever really done before.
No, and something that an assassin needs to be able to manipulate in some way. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. All right, I believe we have time for one more here, and we're going to J-Max line for it.
Looks like our last one's going to be a group effort here by probably the most iconic fans that we ever have at SWC. So what's the idea you guys have come up with? Who wants to take the mic first?
Start off with, I got no voice right now. I've been cheering for totems all day, but I'm the A in JM today.
I'm M. And I'm the M in JM as well.
All right, so our whole idea, cats, one of their most annoying traits is that they just hit everything. They hit stuff off of the counter, tables, whatever. So our idea was that the cat could parry. Someone drops the sun on this cat and it just goes, and there's no more sun. I'll bring it to my numbers guy real quick, though.
Yeah. So we thought it would kind of be like an immunity like Soul 3, but there's no charge up. So you press 3, and immediately you go immune for about half a second. And for each 100 damage she would take, he returns that as 0.1 second of a stun or 0.2 seconds of a stun. So if you took a 1,000 damage Tothel, return it for a 2-second stun, and you don't take any damage. That's good stuff. Well, my part about Bake is, dude, this guy's a cat. He's a ghost cat. These guys got 9 lives. And especially assassin style, the whole gimmick, he's got a built-in timeline 9 times, but he's got a lot less health, but he keeps coming. I think that's a good part. The 9 live cats, that's sick.
Got the whole package of abilities for you to kind of break down and go through now.
Yeah, I was really with you guys until I heard 9 timelines. But, I mean, honestly, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, Boston actually originally had that kind of lower revive passive inspired by the 9 lives theme. So there probably are other ways to explore the 9 live concept that we could drill down into.
Yeah, that's sometimes something that comes up as well. Is you have kind of a theme of an ability that you're trying to set down. I remember with Karen, we really wanted to make sure that we had, a boat ability for sure, a spirit ability was one, and a water ability was very, very important to have each of those. So that was kind of the jumping off point for Brainstorm, as I'm saying, here's the theme that we're looking for. Let's find a way to actually make it into an ability.
Right. No, okay, so I think we're in a good spot. Unfortunately, that is all the time for audience suggestions, but we've gotten so many good ones out there. So let's kind of run through and see what we've got here. Passive, that vengeful spirit idea. I mean, there's a lot of them we could go to. We know that kind of general direction. Our clear, probably swipes, maybe batting around some things. Anna, maybe you can help guide us here with some of the things we've heard.
Yeah. Well, from a concept perspective, I really love all of the suggestions that were given today. So I was thinking with the pauldron and also little lights and stuff from the sardine oil lamp, we could do some really cool effects with that, and have a pearl in the mouth of the pauldron of the fish.
Sure.
And that's pretty much all I got. This has been great. Everyone has amazing ideas.
I know. This was one of our highest hit rate for ideas, in my opinion, that we've done for one of these. It's been really, really good. Here's the real question. Can we get away with letting him have 2 jumps or 2 dashes? Because that's what I was liking the most out of these ideas.
Honestly, I like it too.
Yeah. I mean, the kit that people seem to be kind of pitching here is a character that's highly mobile, who gets
Can we get a report, J-Mac, on what is happening here? I'm so lost.
I want to know. I can't see quite from up here.
They've been stacking up every thunderstick.
All right, well, I'm stoked too. Let's go. You guys are nuts. Well done. Well done. I still don't get it, but I'm happy for you.
Look,
I'm happy that you're happy.
They did the thing.
Oh, they did the thing?
They did the thing.
Oh, right. Let's go. Nice. So we're doing the thing. Yeah, like you were saying, Con, highly mobile kit.
I mean, I think that double mobility, getting in the middle of a team fight and being this disruptor trickster, we had that ult pitch that changed healing around. We had the idea of you being in there to do either a parry or like a don't touch the belly type ability. So you could engage the fight, kind of pick someone out there, do a lot of damage to that target, and then you're just there in the middle of the team trying to make it so that the rest of your team can come in and be as disruptive as possible.
Yeah, and I feel like the ultimates, shape-shifting being the #1 thing in Bakeneko's lore, would want to get that in there somewhere. Taking over the body of a downed ally, getting that much mobility to be able to get to that ally's body wherever they are, and then take them over means that you don't need as much damage output in the base kit because you're assuming that they're taking over someone else's kit, without the ultimate. So it's always risky, doing things like that, but I think that it could work in this instance.
Yeah, the trickery aspect is really important as well, and I think in a lot of these abilities we do have that option where the Bakeneko player could be able to just do any of these things in slightly different ways, and that really does increase a lot of that skill expression, which players really love at the end of the day, to be able to kind of style on their opponents. So I think giving a jungler especially a way to do that is just so much fun.
Yeah, Pon, do you want to talk to the programming team about Bakeneko being able to use every ability of these other characters? I'm sure they'll be happy with that.
I mean, we already have to consider it, so it wouldn't be the biggest deal ever, but there's going to have to be some limitations on it, some windows. Maybe there's only certain types of abilities that can be taken, but the programmers are surprisingly kind. They will try.
Yes, they will.
And they will let me know if their try is going to be unlikely to succeed, and they tell us to make backup kits. So a lot of time we have backup kits and backup things that we're going to try if that doesn't work out. But for this purpose, I think let's just go.
Yeah, I love it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much for helping us at the Build a God panel this year. Bakeneko, going to be a nightmare for everyone to deal with, but very, very fun to play, and that's what really matters. So thank you all. A great year here. No better way to close it out than Bakeneko. And stick around. We'll be right back to Year 11 Creator Show match right after a quick break.